Gasoline is proudly brought to you by the following sponsors. Coming up on tonight's episode...
This is my GTHO Phase 3. I was very lucky to buy this a long time ago.
Tail lights quite often come out, sometimes headlights, inner guards, so it's not just a case of putting the tool straight on the dent.
624 horsepower this produces, so a little bit more than the supercharged Falcon they have locally.
Full up to here, even when the tank is down very low. So basically you don't get any surge issues and that engine...
I'm Michael Curson, the producer, creator of Gasoline. Hope you enjoy.
Well, it's that time again. I need some more parts for Project Warhorse, my XYGT HO replica. And that's why I'm right here at GT Ford Performance in Niddrie, Victoria. They've made it easy. If you want to restore your early Falcon, there's a whole world of parts available. So let's go and talk to the man himself, Mr. GT, David Frake.
Well, it all started for me, well, way back when I was 21, and a friend of mine told me he was going to buy himself a GT. And me not being a car type person said, "What's a GT?" He goes, "That's a Falcon." And I said, "Oh yeah, good on you." So we went looking for a GT for him, but he, unfortunately for him, he lost his licence drink driving, and I had to drive the car for him. Well, hopping out of your Cortina when you got home from work and hopping into the GT and spending all night driving around town and back into the Cortina in the morning, guess what? Cortina had to go, and it all started with that one over there, my first GT. And I bought that when I was 21, and it's not for sale. And went from there. Just went on to move on to other cars, joined the car club, and basically guys in the car club said to me, "Oh, where did you get that from?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Those stripes." I said, "I can't get them anywhere." And I said, "Oh, I had them made." "Can you make me a set?" "No problems." So then we got into the business of making parts for the guys in the car club, and then other guys wanted them, and just went on from there, and here I am now. Well, here it all started with this car. This is my first GT. After driving my mate's GT around for a while, decided to get one for myself, and I was an apprentice at the SEC at the time, and I said to the guys at work, I said, "Oh, my mate's got a GT, it's grouse." And one of the guys said, "My boss, he got GT, I think you want to sell it." And I said, "Oh yeah, what sort is it?" He goes, "It's a red one." I said, No. I said, "What sort of, is XY, XT?" He goes, I said, "What sort of engine has it got in it?" And he goes, "Oh, I think it got 230 engine in it, because his badge on the side says 230. I said, "Oh, it's got a 302 in it." He goes, "No, 230. And I said, "All right, well, give me his phone number." And he goes, "I'll get him to ring you." So he rings me, and here it is. This used to belong to Alec Epps, Essendon football player. The Cooker brother used to call him. He used to write an article in The Sun, I think it was, or Truth, one or the other. And this was up the road, parked in Harry White's, the jockey's house. And he bought himself a new red Mercedes, so he didn't need the old red GT anymore. And I've had it ever since. Joined the car club and seen how good the other guys' cars were, and I thought, well, I'm going to do my car up as good as theirs. So, as you do when you're young and stupid, you start chroming everything, don't you? So I started at the diff, luckily, chromed everything up to the gearbox. As soon as I got to the engine bay, I learnt the error of my ways. And then I had to undo all my work and put all the original stuff back again. And I restored it for a hot rod show that the car club had a, I think it was 78 or 77, I can't remember. Had it in there, and then I retired it after quite a few years of racing it, winting, whatever, drag racing it, whatever, and put it away, and I thought I'll do it up again really nice one day. And when I went and looked at the car, especially the engine bay, I thought how great a job I did restoring it back in the first time. I realised that 90% of the engine bay was wrong. So I've learned a lot in that time, and now it's back to what it should have been when it was day one. And greatest car ever made. Much better than any of the later stuff. It's a pleasure to drive this car. It's my baby, and they're always the best, the XTs. Well, as you may or may not know, this is my GTHO Phase 3. I was very lucky to buy this a long time ago off a gentleman from Griffiths, but unfortunately at the time I couldn't afford to keep it. This car was originally sold in New South Wales to Gino Gallo from Griffiths, and he sold it to another guy up there later on by the name of Des Page. And at the time when I bought it, basically I did it up, couldn't afford to keep it, had to sell it. Sold it to a local guy named Chris Webb, and he used to bring it back for servicing, and once I got back on my feet I said to him, hey, if you ever want to sell that car again, I'll have it. So sure enough, one day he rang up, said, do you want that car? I said, yeah, I do, and here it is. So I've had it for quite a while now. I've done a full restoration on it a while back. It's been to every GT National since it's been restored. The first one was the one at Bathurst when they had the big bushfires on there a while back. It's done probably over 13,000 miles since the full restoration, and I drive it basically everywhere there's a show or something to do. It's done a little bit more miles than the XT. The XT's done a bit over 10,000 since it's been fully restored, and it's a lovely car to drive. Nowhere near as good as the XT, but yeah, it's kick ass. And basically the only thing I've done to it is I thought if I ever wanted to buy a HO and I had the money back in '71 and could go into a dealer, I could buy a yellow glow with white trim, black cloth inserts and a sunroof. So unfortunately it doesn't have a sunroof, but hey, you can live with that. And the only modification I've done is I've put white trim in it with black cloth inserts because it originally has black trim. But I've got all the black trim set aside, and hey, a couple of hours, white trim comes out, black trim goes in. So basically that's it. Great car to drive. And it's the second last one made by serial number. So yeah, it's a great thing. Great thing to have, great thing to drive. GT Falcon.
Don't forget, viewers, to look up the all-new Shannons Club. Shannons Club is a huge site. It's like a hub for enthusiasts. You jump on there, you can start your own garage, put pictures of your cars up there, stories of your cars, videos, you name it. You'll see people like myself on there, Jim Richards. Click onto our garages and check out some of our machines and some of our past machines. It's an incredible site, it's growing every day, so get onto it and have a ball.
When it comes to parts for restoring your Falcon these days, there's a whole world of things available. A couple of years ago, you'd have to search high and low to find a steering wheel that looked this good. Now we've got them straight off the shelf, ready to go. Take these dashes for example. This is an original dash here, but you're not going to put one of those into your Falcon you're restoring. Luckily, not only do we sell reproduction dashes, we can also restore your original dashes, re-chrome and repaint them so they come back looking like that. Now look at that, it's fantastic. And it's not just there, we stop with the parts that we recondition. We can recondition your sunroof cables. We can even recondition your badges. If you have a look at these switches here, it's got some XA, XB driving light switches. You can't get them, these are all professionally laser printed. Someone hasn't come along with a little whiteout pen and coloured that in. You can turn that on and off 110 times a day like you used to, and that's still not going to wear out. We can get all of your switches done, so they're all going to come back looking the same. Okay, as well as the dashes and switches, we've also got these brand new Super Fringe radios. Again, like the steering wheels, these have been so hard to come by in years. We've been able to get these reproduced. They look exactly like original, but underneath them you've got a brand new radio. You can listen to the football, you can plug your iPod in, you can plug your removable hard drive in, whatever you want, but you're driving along and it still looks period correct. And speaking of period correct, how about these tacos? Everybody always wanted the elusive XA 8 grand taco. They were always so hard to find. We've had the front screen reproduced. We can recalibrate your standard V8 taco to look like one of these. You send us one of yours, we send it back like this, ready to go, working, ready to bolt straight into your car. We've also gone to the effort here to reproduce these harmonic balancers. You notice the way I picked it up there, and this is a proper 2.5-inch harmonic balancer as fitted to the GT HO Phase 3s. You can't get anything that even looks similar to this. The biggest you can get in a harmonic balancer from anywhere else is 2.25 inch. It's the little bits and pieces like these and the radios and tacos that really set GT Ford Performance apart from the others. You've just got to remember when you're buying parts for your Falcon, whether it's for your Falcon GT, your Falcon 500 or your XA Superbird Coupe, is that every single part's different. They're all made by different people, but they don't all fit the way they should. At GT Ford Performance here, we test everything we sell before we put it on and we make sure it fits before we put it out on the market. We get countless phone calls of people ringing up saying they've brought parts elsewhere and they don't fit. We don't want people to have that problem, so we make sure we fit them ourselves here first. We're more than happy to help. If you ever need anything, just give us a call. But remember, you get what you pay for.
Well, mate, looks like we're one step closer to getting Project Warhorse finished, mate. Thanks you very much for looking after me with those parts.
No worries, John. Hope you enjoy the parts and good to see that car on the road, mate. Get it happening, mate.
I will. Thank you very much.
All right, mate.
Thank you. All right.
Hi, I'm Ian from Dentrix, and behind me here is my partner Frank and Kyle doing a bit of work on a hail damaged car. We're PDR technicians and we get dents out of cars, ranging from hail dents to small shopping trolley type dents that most cars get in car parks. What we're going to do is go around the car and show you how we do this. Okay, we'll just show you a few of the tools that we use to get the dents out. They're not always in easily accessible areas, so the dents could be underneath braces, and we'd use small tools like this. We call them whale tails. They're nice and thin and can slide in underneath the braces. We've got all different sizes of rods and bars and bits and pieces to get in to the dents where they're not easily accessible. The dents that are in nice open areas, like a roof panel or underneath a bonnet, we'd get a roof rod bar like this, and use a pivot point that we'd set up at the side of the door there, and that allows us to get good purchase and work the dents nice and easy. Sometimes we can't get to a dent at all, and what we do is glue a tab onto the dent using hot glue and a tab similar to this, and then once the glue goes off, we'd use a slide hammer and actually pull the dent back out, and this causes a high spot which then has to be tapped back down and blended out flat again. And to do that we use tap down hammers, different sizes, lengths, nice long one here that we can use to reach over a roof, and then you've got short ones and different types of tap downs. We can use a steel tap down or most commonly a nylon tap down, which doesn't affect the paintwork, and you end up with a nice flat surface that polishes up nice and clean when the car comes back. What you can see is a dent being pushed out at this time. It looks nice and easy, but if it was easy everybody would be doing it. What it does take is a lot of care and precision, and many people have tried and ended up damaging the paintwork by pushing too hard or with instruments that are too sharp or possibly even too blunt. So a lot of care is taken to push the dents back out and give a nice flat surface without affecting the paintwork. This is a window guard, and as the name suggests, it goes in front of the glass and protects the glass from any possible scratches from when you put a tool down in the door. This wedge just opens that up a little bit, and we can get a tool down in between here and work dents that are in the doors, and that's quite often your shopping trolley type things, and of course with this particular car, hail damage as well. Now, whether a dent comes out or not is determined by three things. That's the size of the dent, the location, and the depth. Sometimes a dent is just too big and the material's stretched, so it's not going to come out, and you'll end up getting something like that fixed at a panel shop. But as you can see, a smaller type dent like this will come out without the need for painting. The cost of doing something like this is far less than having your panel repainted. Quite often we'll remove a bonnet or a boot lid, stick it up on a stand so we can work the dents from all different angles. Tail lights quite often come out, sometimes headlights, inner guards. So it's not just a case of putting the tool straight on the dent. Quite often you have to do a little bit of work to get to the dents. Well, I hope this gives you a little bit of an insight as to what paintless dent removal is. As you can see, you don't have to go off to a panel shop every time you have a small dent on your car. It is a legitimate repair process that insurance companies use to fix hail damaged cars, and also you can tidy up and make your car look a little bit better for sale purposes, or just to get rid of that unsightly dent that you see every time you go to your car.
Okay, just here we have a beautiful GT350, one of Shelby's finest in the retro lineup of the production of cars that they make. This particular one has got the new Coyote 5-litre engine in it. It's supercharged with a Whipple supercharger, and it produces 625 horsepower, so nothing to be sneezed at. The other beauty about this particular car is that it was built as a pure performance track car. So when Shelby put it together, they said, right, we want to make the fastest and best handling Mustang ever made. So as far as Shelby's concerned, this is the one to buy. Okay, as you can see here, the original traditional stripe that the GT350 came out with, and also the bonnet scoop that came with the GT350. So this is all part of the retro package that you buy with this car. The stripes are actually painted on this particular car, and so that gives it a good quality finish, so it's just beautiful. As you can see, the Whipple supercharger's on here. It's a Ford Racing component, so all the tuning is done by Ford Racing for this car, so it meets 50 state legal and of course can be legally registered here in Australia. This has got the intercooler upgrade set up here, and you'll notice that this hasn't got the water cooling that Super Snake had in one of the other segments that we did. 624 horsepower this produces, so a little bit more than the supercharged Falcon they have locally. The car's shoed with Goodyear F1 tyres, track tyres, and as well as got a set of Crago wheels that are Shelby special wheel. It's fitted out with 6-piston brakes, front and rear, which are a bare brake, 14-inch rotors, 2-piece, brake cooling ducts, all those things that we need to make this thing go around consistently around a racetrack. As mentioned before, big brakes on the rear. The other thing about this particular car is they've beefed up the rear suspension on it. They've put in a Watts link, which is adjustable for different ride heights. It's all got coilovers on it, so we can adjust that as well. So Shelby was really fair dinkum when they put this thing together. When the 5 litre was released and come back to the Mustang range, Carroll Shelby said, well, this is the best time to bring back the GT350. So this is obviously a retro of the original back in the 60s, and when I ordered this particular motor car, originally this was going to be a Targa race car, and in that time, you know, other things turned up and my thought changed, so I didn't do it. I got this one particularly done in the way I'd like the trim work to be done. So you'll see inside in a minute how we've got, you know, the selector boots got a stripes on it, and etc. etc. It's all the red, blue, and white in the tone of the American flag. Some people out there are probably wondering, you know, when we talk about Shelby, who is Shelby? Carroll Shelby came to Ford back in 1965 or 64 and a half when the first Mustangs were released, and they weren't very powerful cars. They looked great, but they didn't go very well. So Carroll talked to Ford about putting V8s in them, and then produced his own range. And the first GT350 came out in '65, and from that day on, Mustang fame in performance cars went out of control. The GT350 was, I guess, what really put Carroll Shelby on track for the Mustang mark throughout the world, and is so well known today. And obviously these days that's the product we push the most, because it's just done well and it's a performance breed.
Well, here we are back at Rocket Industries once again, so let's go inside and take a look around. Well, viewers, as you can see, there's a bit of eye candy here, and I absolutely love it. With 80 pages of goodies, guys like us can have an absolute ball when we're building a car. Starting with something like this unusual looking device here. This is what we call a fuel surge tank. It basically allows a good head of fuel to be available at the engine at all times. Imagine this, you're at the racetrack, you've got a low fuel level, you launch off the start line at the drags. All of a sudden, there's no fuel at that pickup in the tank. What's going to happen? The engine is going to hiccup and surge and stall, and then take off again. When you run a surge tank, the full head of fuel is always supplied to this tank from the main fuel pump. So it's virtually full up to here, even when the tank is down very low. So basically you don't get any surge issues, and that engine just keeps on trucking. Here's a nice little device. This sensational looking Aeroflow fuel log for 4-barrel applications. I've actually got one of these babies for Project Warhorse, and she looks mighty sweet, doesn't it? The main benefit with this fuel log here is it is adjustable. So if you've got some very tight confines in your engine bay with air filters, manifolds and what have we, you can actually swivel this around to make it fit in wherever you want to. It also comes with a big range of adapters to suit all different types of carburetors in that 4-barrel range. The other advantage with this is that it has a very big area of volume right here to give the carburetor a good head of fuel at all times. Quite an unusual looking device, isn't it? This fits in between a 4-barrel carburetor and your intake manifold on a V8 application. Basically speeds up air going into the manifold. It can increase volume in that plenum area, which can actually help power on a bigger cube type engine, but it also can speed up that airflow if you have an oversized carburetor on a small block engine as well. It effectively makes up for that inefficiency of the large carburetor at low air speeds or low engine speeds. But up top end, she'll just still keep on trucking. The other thing I like about these two is they're a lightweight design. They're all hollowed out and cut away around the outer perimeter of the spacer. Weight is everything, and if you can save it, it will help performance. Now, getting down to the crux of these spacers, I've seen between 10 and 25 horsepower gained on the engine dyno by bolting one of these spacers straight onto the engine. That's a pretty good gain, isn't it?
Thank you for watching Gasolene.
Gasoline is proudly brought to you by the following sponsors: